So we have endocrine. What does endocrine mean? Endocrine is a secretion, substances secreted or released by the cell into the bloodstream that affect distant cells. Like testosterone is secreted by the lineage cells, and the testes make hair grow on the back. So it acts on the distant cell. So in the target cell, it's away, far away from itself, the cells itself. So it need to go, the hormone need to go, or the substance need to go into the bloodstream and into the blood, circulate into the distant cell. So it has long distance communication, not neighboring, not itself. It is a long distance communication. Endocrine, this is an endocrine hormones. It sends a signal. They are signal chemicals. This is an endocrine cell. It sends hormone into the bloodstream, and in the bloodstream, it goes to the cell. The cells with the receptor cannot respond. The cells without receptor cannot respond to these hormones. They should have receptors. So this is a cells with the receptors, which is called target cell. This is not target cell. This is a target cell. So it binds. Why target cell? Because it has a receptor, can bind to this ligand. Ligand is a hormone, and so it acts on this cell, and the cell will respond. So hormones are secreted by endocrine glands or cell into the bloodstream, and then only target the receptor, the cells with the receptors. That hormone will respond to the signal. So it made an endocrine. So these are chemical signals made in the endocrine cells, transported via blood, and it targets the cells with the receptor, and the cells will respond. So this is a long distance cell-to-cell communication. So the endocrine system refers to the cells that and tissues that release hormone into the blood. So releasing the hormones into the blood. Neurotransmitter chemical secreted by neurons that diffuse across the small gap into the target cell. It's also an example of endocrine. Neurons use electrical signal. Okay, so the electrical signals neuron, they send the chemical substance on the target cells, which has a receptor. Neurohormones are chemicals that are released by the neuron into the bloodstream again, for its action on the distant target, of course, with the cells with the receptors. So this is an endocrine system. Those hormones that, those glands that they send hormones into the bloodstream and act on the distant cell. So what's the function of the endocrine system? The function of hormones is help regulate chemical composition and volume, internal environment, external fluid, metabolism and energy balance, like thyroid hormone, biological clock, circadian rhythm, like melatonin, an example for circadian rhythm or biological clock. And also we have control growth and development and regulate operation of reproductive system. So all these glands we have, for example, hypothalamus, pituitary glands, thyroid gland, thymus, and also hormones which is secreted by the stomach, kidney, uterus, liver, pancreas, small intestine, lungs, skin, and so on. So a classification according to the solubility processes. And this is a third classification. So classification according to solubility properties, whether they are soluble in water or they are soluble in the lipid and so on. So the classification according to to the solubility. We have water-soluble hormones. Some hormones, they are water-soluble, and that bind to the plasma membrane of the target cells. They cannot enter inside the cells. So why? Because they have the cell membrane is lipid bilayer, and they are water-soluble. They cannot enter into the inside the cells, but they act on the cell membrane of the target cell. So they have receptor on the cell membrane, so they bind to this receptor. Hormones that bind to the surface of the cells communicate with intracellular metabolic process through intermediary molecule called second messenger. So hormones, they are first messengers. They bind to the receptors of the surface of the cells to activate the second messengers on the cell membrane. The hormone itself, its first messenger, as I mentioned, which is generated as a consequence of ligand receptors interactions, which include catecholamine hormones, epinephrine. This is a water-soluble peptide hormones like thyrotropin releasing hormone TRH. It's also water-soluble. Protein hormones like insulin, also water-soluble. We also call thyrotropin releasing hormones a master regulator of thyroid glands growth and function, including the secretion of the thyroid hormone, thyroxine, and triiodothyronine, or T3 and T4. So these hormones control the body metabolic rate, heat generation, neuromuscular function, and heart rate. This is what these hormones do. And also, you know what insulin do. Hormone receptors and the and target cells. So a given hormone usually affects only a limited number of cells, which are called target cell. As I mentioned before, there's the hormone releasing, the glands releasing hormone, and it enters into the blood, and then in the blood it goes to the cells that they have receptors, which is called a target cell. So a target cell responds to the hormone because it's bare receptors for this hormone. See here, this is a hormone A. We have an hormone B. Hormone B marked as a red one. This is red. This is the receptor for the hormone B, and the blue one is the receptor for the hormone A. So target cell for hormone A. This is only for hormone A. It binds to the hormone A. It acts on the hormone. The hormone A acts on this type of cells, target cells for hormone A, and this is target cells for hormone B, only receiving hormone B. But this target cells for hormone A and B, so receiving both hormone, can bind to both hormone. So it according to the receptor, whether the cells have receptors or not, it can bind to this type of hormone. So a hormone receptor is a molecule that can bind to a specific hormone. They are found either exposed on the surface of the cells or within the cells, depending on the type of hormone, because we have receptor inside the cells as well, because there are hormones can enter into the cells itself. So upon hormone binding to this receptor, what happens? It can initiate multiple signaling pathways. As I mentioned, like a second messengers, like GTPases, they act and they start to initiate their signals. So this is called signaling pathway, initiate after binding of the receptors with the hormone. Which ultimately lead to the change in the behavior of the target cell, of course, for doing its physiological action. Next record, we will continue for the general mechanism of hormone action.